Once upon a time, in a lush and vibrant meadow, there lived a tiny caterpillar named Calliope. She was no ordinary caterpillar. She was curious, adventurous, and filled with dreams of one day soaring high above the treetops like the butterflies she admired. But in the wild, beautiful meadow, dangers lurked in every corner. Calliope was determined to explore every inch of it, no matter the risks. One day, as she ventured farther from her home than ever before, Calliope found herself on the edge of a dense and shadowy forest. The trees stood tall and menacing, their branches intertwined like skeletal hands reaching out to trap unwary creatures. Calliope hesitated, her tiny heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. "I must be brave," she whispered to herself. "The world is full of wonders, but also dangers. I will see it all." With a deep breath, Calliope entered the forest. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. As she crawled cautiously along a moss-covered branch, she suddenly felt a cold, piercing gaze upon her. Before she could react, a dark shape lunged from the shadows, a giant predatory beetle with razor-sharp mandibles. Calliope froze in terror as the beetle's eyes locked onto her, gleaming with hunger. In an instant, she snapped out of her fear and began to race across the branch, her tiny legs moving faster than they ever had before. The beetle gave chase, snapping its jaws inches from her fragile body. "Help!" Calliope cried, her voice barely a squeak in the vastness of the forest. Just as the beetle was about to close in, a blur of red and black darted between them. It was Lucy, the lively ladybug and Calliope's loyal friend. With a bold swoop, Lucy flew straight at the beetle's face, distracting it just long enough for Calliope to dive into a crevice between the bark. The beetle hissed in frustration, its mandibles clashing together as it tried to reach her. But the crevice was too small for the beetle's bulky form. After a few tense moments, it finally gave up and skulked back into the darkness. "Thank you, Lucy," Calliope panted, her body trembling with adrenaline. "You saved my life." Lucy smiled, her small wings fluttering with pride. "That's what friends are for. But be careful, Calliope. This forest is full of dangers. You need to be more cautious." Calliope nodded, her fear beginning to subside. But deep down, she knew that this wouldn't be the last time she would face danger on her journey. As the days passed, Calliope encountered more challenges. She narrowly escaped the sticky threads of a massive spider's web, using the camouflage techniques she had learned from Kara, the wise chameleon. She fought off a swarm of angry ants by rolling herself into a tight ball and tumbling down a hill out of their reach. But the most terrifying encounter was yet to come. One night, as Calliope rested on a moonlit leaf, she heard the distant howl of the wind. It was no ordinary wind. It was the sound of an approaching storm. The sky darkened and the wind grew stronger, whipping the trees into a frenzy. Calliope clung to the leaf with all her might, but the storm was relentless. Suddenly, a powerful gust tore the leaf from its branch, sending Calliope tumbling through the air. She spiraled down, until she landed with a thud in a muddy clearing. Disoriented and frightened, Calliope struggled to move, but her tiny body was battered and exhausted. As the storm raged on, Calliope spotted a dark figure moving toward her. It was a snake, its eyes glinting with malice as it slithered closer, its tongue flicking in and out. Calliope tried to crawl away, but the mud held her fast. The snake reared back, ready to strike. In that moment, Calliope's survival instincts kicked in. With all the strength she could muster, she began to spin a cocoon around herself, faster and faster, until she was completely encased in a protective shell. The snake's fangs struck the cocoon, but they could not penetrate its tough silk. Frustrated, the snake slithered away, leaving Calliope safe inside. Exhausted and bruised, Calliope finally drifted into a deep sleep, cocooned from the dangers of the world. Weeks passed, and the storm eventually subsided. When the sun finally broke through the clouds, the meadow was peaceful once more. But something incredible was happening inside Calliope's cocoon. Her body was transforming, preparing for the final, most thrilling chapter of her journey. One crisp autumn morning, the cocoon began to tremble and crack. With a final burst of energy, Calliope emerged, no longer a tiny caterpillar, but a magnificent butterfly. Her wings were a stunning blend of emerald green and sapphire blue, shimmering in the sunlight. But she wasn't out of danger yet. As she stretched her wings for the first time, she noticed the shadow of a hawk circling above, its sharp eyes scanning the ground for prey. Calliope knew she had to act quickly. With a powerful leap, she launched herself into the air, her new wings catching the wind. The hawk dove after her, but Calliope was faster and more agile. She darted through the trees, weaving between branches and leaves, evading the hawk's talons with every twist and turn. Finally, Calliope reached a dense thicket where the hawk could not follow. She landed on a flower, her heart pounding, but her spirit soaring. She had faced danger, fought for her life, and emerged stronger than ever. From that day on, Calliope explored the world as a butterfly, but she never forgot the challenges she had overcome as a caterpillar. She had learned that the journey was full of peril, but it was also full of beauty, wonder, and triumph. And so, Calliope the butterfly lived a life of adventure and courage, knowing that she had earned her wings through every fight and thrill along the way.
Please like and subscribe our channel.